Welcome to DaAi Headlines from Lori Chen. Thank you for joining us. Today we have a special feature report. It has been 8 years since the Syrian Civil War broke out, forcing more than 13 million Syrians to flee their hometowns. Among the different countries, Turkey has taken in the largest number of Syrian refugees. Let's meet some of these brave souls residing in this transient state.
In the spring of 2011, the calling of Allah is hidden within the sound of the bombings.
The tank exploded and bombs kept dropping down. There were so many. I was so scared.
Back then, everyone was panicking when the bombs came down, and I did not know what had happened. I was sent to a hospital in Istanbul. I saw my legs was broken. The doctor said that one of my legs was gone.
Bacağı gördü. Söyledi bacağı yani iyi bir kötü.
It was very difficult for me to escape. It is not easy for any of the Syrian people. I'm considered to have escaped early. However, I lost my whole family in the war. I've also lost my legs. For us, it was really hard to bear.
During the 8 years of war, Syria's culture regressed. Tears seems to have dripped on this piece of land. 6 million people have escaped from Syria. Most of them have taken shelter in nearby Turkey. In 200 BC, Istanbul was on the Silk Road crossing. The east and west traded spices, silk, and porcelain. Therefore, Turkey became a bridge of various trades. The Bosphorus Bridge, which was completed in 1973, connected Asia and Europe with only a 2-minute car ride. Thus, Turkey became the culture bridge connecting the east and the west. Turkey, which does not produce petroleum, is still a bridge of energy. This is due to the fact that the petroleum globally is transported through Turkey. At the harbors, the commercial ships travel back and forth, carrying a large number of passengers. Istanbul, being the 6th largest city in the world, carries with it a beautiful historic background. Ever since the Syrian Civil War started in 2011, Turkey has taken on another role. Refugees need to pass through Turkey in order to reach Europe. However, they needed to overcome the severe weather conditions like this type of heavy snowfall. Since the Syrian Civil War started, more than 6 million people have traveled through the border. They cannot go back home because of the ongoing war, and they cannot move forward either due to the extreme weather conditions. Unable to reach Europe, the refugees have no choice but to temporarily call Turkey home. Coming from a country in the south, the refugees needed to quickly adapt to the vastly different weather conditions here. Heavy winter snow and intense rainfall in the fall. Buses, tramways, and the subway systems are readily available. However, they need to be able to read the signs first. In order to buy things, they need to first understand the pricing system. In the textile factory, the workers are busy at work. They work quietly because they're focusing on their work and also because they have language barriers. Turkish workers and Syrian workers are weaving the same piece of cloth, working on the same assembly line. Nevertheless, their incomes are different. One of them is the host, while the other is the guest.
In the past, the people who collected recycled paper boxes were the Turks. Now Syrians are the ones doing the job. It's the same with other types of work. They've even opened their own shops. They more or less took away some of our job opportunities.
The person taking away the job opportunity might just be a child. Many are forced to say goodbye to their childhoods in order to provide financially for the family. These people might have been teachers, engineers, or accountants back in Syria. However, now that they're taking refuge in Turkey, they have resorted to only asking for a stable living.
When I came to Turkey 4 years ago, I did not have any money or a place to stay. Later, I got to work in this factory for 2 to 3 months and finally got a chance to rent a place to stay in. I'm very grateful that the Turkish employer took me in.
Mohammed used to be the owner of a textile factory in Syria, but he's now only a factory worker. Despite that, he maintains his dignity. Putting on a volunteer vest, Mohammed is also a city volunteer. He brought some eco-friendly blankets to visit his fellow countrymen. Being able to speak his native language, he comforts the other Syrian refugees.
I only have these pills left. My house in Aleppo collapsed. Our life here is quite unstable. My household registration is in another place, so I cannot receive medications from pharmacies in Istanbul. My son has Down syndrome. Since we cannot afford the rent, we have not paid for it for 2 months already.
There are many local volunteers like Mohammed. They do not hesitate to do their best to help their fellow countrymen. The 44-year-old English teacher is visiting his fellow countrymen from Aleppo. The Syrian man used to work for the government. After coming to Turkey, he suffered from an eye disease and lost his job. The family of 7 instantly lost their breadwinner.
My family's situation is really dreadful. The house is very humid, and the landlord keeps on raising the rent each year. Now the rent costs around $140. I really cannot afford it anymore.
Despite his struggling living conditions, he still took in his mentally challenged sister. Syrians value greatly the concept of family. Therefore, the family wants to stay together regardless of difficulties one's facing. For some reason, the clock has stopped working. Ironically, this mirrors exactly their struggles in this foreign country. At the Menahal School, he's an English teacher.
Actually, I was one of the first teachers who taught here. So it was the good chance for me to meet as many Syrian children as I can. Some schools have less number, but here you can have more than usual.
Okay, if you think it's red, it's okay.
The bright sunlight shines through the windows of the clean and proper classrooms. The school the teacher is referring to gives hope to all the Syrian students.
Where are you from?
I'm from Syria.
What's your nationality?
I'm Syrian.
Okay. Everybody here from Syria?
If a child doesn't go to a school, it's going to be disastrous. I mean, in the long run, when that child grows up knowing nothing about the world and reading about nothing, it will be very traumatic because he will not be able to communicate with others, to pursue a good job opportunity, and he might deviate, maybe become a murderer or anything else. So it's not always safe.
In the classroom behind every child's smile, there lies countless stories of the atrocities of war. Is there hatred or resentment in their young minds?
I was forced to leave my country because of the war. In the past, there was a lot of hatred in my heart. I hated how the war had forced me to leave my hometown.
Najwa is a girl who wears prostheses. The bombing had taken away both of her legs. Out of her family of 14, she was the only person who survived.
I hope one day we will be able to return back to Syria. By then, I will want to be a doctor so I can treat other children who have gone through the same things as me.
There's immense sorrow for what has happened in my country. I'm extremely angry that innocent children are taken away by the war every day. I feel very sad that I was forced to leave my country.
When Janeb fled from his hometown, he was only a high school student. The only belongings he took with him were his textbooks. He records off Tziji's living expenses subsidy amounts because their help motivates him to work harder. In 2018, Janeb married a Syrian woman and started working at the Menahal School.
Upon coming to the Menahal School, I felt this place was filled with people's love and care. Therefore, it has helped me let go of my feelings of hatred and resentment. Tzuji volunteers from faraway places have filled my heart with love. They said that we are all one big family. I hope I can become just like them.
With blessings from Allah, if we can return back to Syria, I hope we can do a lot of things. First of all, we want to rebuild our hometowns. Then we will establish a new civilization based on the ideals of Islam and education.
The school is like a fortress that heals the wounds of the mind. At the school, the children have learned to harbor love instead of hatred.
In the past, if you ask them what their dreams were, they might say that he knows what he's going to eat or play with tomorrow. Their dreams might be to ask a parent to take them out somewhere. However, after getting an education, things have changed drastically. Now they would say, my dream is to become a doctor or a nurse. This way I can return back to Syria and treat children who have been injured in the war. Or my dream is to become an architect or engineer because I want to go back and rebuild my hometown.
With video cameras, we can record the growth of these children. They've learned a lot here. One day, hopefully, the Syrian Civil War will come to an end. Then we hope to accompany them on their journey back home.
Lori Chen is a media worker. Yu Faisohu and Hu's wife are the only 3 Tzu Chi commissioners in Turkey. Their common wish is to build a home in the name of love for the refugees residing in Turkey.
Most of the people are very friendly to us. For example, if you happen to have twisted your ankle or encounter some issues, the Turks will never just overlook it. There will always be a group of people coming over to ask if you're doing all right or not, asking if you need a lift to go to the hospital.
At Tzu Chi's emergency assistance station, the small infant is sleeping peacefully, not aware about what is going on in the world.
Explain the family. The sustainer of the family, the father, the breadwinner, he's very sick, and they are very poor. Okay, they came from Syria 2 months ago. We'd like to ask for help. This is they explaining their situation.
The home visit report records the background information of the family, the number of family members, ages, and their incomes. It helps the volunteers assess how much financial assistance should be provided.
Problems in breathing. He was suffocating, but he was taken to emergency room and he's okay now.
The man takes out his family's refugee certificates. He has just gotten married and recently became a father. However, a fire had burned down his rental. Now his family has no place to stay. On top of that, the landlord is asking him for compensation.
I left my home and I'm staying with my wife's family. Tzu Chi give us spiritual as well as material support. They help us feed our families and go to the doctors when needed. Most importantly, although their religious beliefs are different, they still sincerely care about us, the Muslim community.
This is affordable for
The staff members of the emergency assistance station are all consisted of Syrians. In the small room, everyone has similar backgrounds and speaks the same languages. They are able to encourage one another. For many, this place feels like home.
In Syria, I can sleep peacefully every day. Since we're foreigners here, making a stable living is much more difficult. Back in Syria, I can work to support my whole family of 9 with just one job. However, in Turkey, even if all 9 family members worked, it is still not enough to make ends meet. Fortunately, our Prophet Muhammad has always led us through the difficulties. The light from Mecca shines upon us.
Abdullah and his younger brother have also been to the emergency assistance station. When his family first came here in 2017, Tzu Chi volunteers had delivered this blanket to the family, which helped them get through their very first winter in this foreign land.
أي بتحب أكثر سوريا ولا تركيا؟ ليش؟ تركيا.
نيدن؟
ليش؟ ليش ما بتحب؟ عم شجع العالم هاي عشتنا هيك غلط.
The adults and children have different thoughts. in regards to returning back to Syria.
Of course, Syria is my homeland. For me, I like to go back as soon as possible. They like to stay here in Turkey. Actually, they liked Istanbul because they find safety. They were little kids when we came here, so they have their own life here.
Why do I have to go back to Syria if I started a job here? I mean, how much will I be able to live? Like 60, 70 years, and I think Turkey is beautiful. But our children can go back and build Syria.
For 8 years now, is Turkey just a transit stop or a permanent home for the refugees? Many people still do not have an answer. This is the border of Greece and Turkey, and there are many trucks heading for Europe. After years of wandering, some Syrian refugees have chosen to move forward to Europe. In the meantime, others have chosen to return back to Syria. No matter where they choose to go, the history will remember that. During this migration period, Turkey once provided refuge to the people that were in dire situations. By the beginning of 2019, the Syrian Civil War is near its end. The United Nations has started to arrange for refugees to start returning back to their homeland. May there be love in their hearts, and may their journey home be a smooth and positive one. As they return to their homeland, it's with great hope that they'll be able to start a brand new chapter of their lives.
Students from the Menahal School in Turkey had the chance to celebrate Teachers' Day.
The third week of March every year is Teachers' Day in Syria. The Menahal School in Turkey hosted a celebratory event. Many children helped clean up the school beforehand. Children perform a dance to express their gratitude to the teachers. They've also made cards and write poems to put into the balloons in hopes of surprising their teachers.
We appreciate your efforts. We wish you the best wishes.
Being a teacher is not just a job. Education is like planting seeds. We must carefully water them so that children can grow strong in the future.
It's a precious opportunity to receive an education in a foreign land. Students thank teachers' instructions as well as the kindness they receive from Turkey.
I want to thank Turkey especially. If they didn't take us in, we wouldn't be able to receive education, and we might be stuck in our country to fight the war.
Escaping from the war and hatred, these children are now nourished by love. Their future is just about to take flight.
The Syrian Civil War is near its end. It's with great hope that all the Syrian refugees can start a brand new chapter of their lives.